This is a conversation with Lauren, one of my dedicated students who has been on an inspiring journey of learning Polish. But this podcast goes far beyond vocabulary and grammar. Lauren's story is about love, culture, and the challenge of finding your voice in a new language. From her work in the beverage industry and her past as an actress to her reflections on Poland, AI, and the future family plans, she brings fresh, honest perspective to what it means to learn with purpose. In this episode, Lauren shares why she started learning Polish, what surprised her most about Poland, the challenges of learning Polish as an American, her creative work at Brooklyn Canery, and dreams of someday adding a Polish twist to their beverage line, how her acting background helps her learn, and why physical memory and play are her secret language tools. Thoughtful reflections on AI, how she uses it in her work, and why she is curious but cautious about its future in language and media. This is a thoughtful, honest, and often funny conversation about culture, creativity, and the power of staying curious. My ultimate goal is to create the most engaging online Polish language course, and students like Lauren continuously inspire and motivate me to make this vision a reality. But your involvement matters too. Together, let's build an extraordinary community for Polish learners worldwide. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, share your thoughts in the comments, and let me know which topics and resources would best support you in your Polish learning journey. Thank you.
Wolność, kocham i rozumiem wolność. Oddać się umiem, wolność. Kocham i rozumiem wolności. Oddać się umiem.
So the first question is, why did you start learning Polish?
Yeah, I started learning Polish because my husband is originally from Poland, and he speaks Polish with his family. And I wanted to, excuse me, I wanted to be part of that communication. And then as we think about having our own family, wanting to be able to speak with our future children at some point. And then separately, we really enjoy traveling to Poland, and my husband still has some family there. So, really wanting to immerse myself in the language so that when we travel, I can fully experience the culture and the language.
Okay. And was it difficult to get started?
It was difficult for me to get started, even though I have people, my husband and his family, that speaks Polish. Um, I primarily speak English with my husband, of course, but it was tough to get started because I think Polish is a language in America where there's not as many teachers available to teach it. And so I tried working with someone and it just wasn't a fit online. And then, I don't have a community in New York City that speaks Polish. So, none of my friends speak Polish or know the language. So I think getting started was definitely the hardest part. But now that I've started, it's been really exciting to work with you, of course, but also um, I use an application sometimes to kind of just practice vocabulary and stay up to date on like what I know and test myself. And then it's been fun as I've gotten to travel to Poland recently to be able to like understand words and read things, and then understand a bit more of what folks are saying. So that's been really exciting.
Okay. So you visited Poland recently, and what uh, what are your impressions?
Yeah. It's definitely a hard question because there's so much I could talk about. But I think from the perspective of myself living in New York City and then visiting Poland, um, what really impresses me about Poland is the culture of like organization and just the culture of folks really like taking care of one another and the cities and the environments that they live in. I think in New York City, there's just so many different folks and needs and preferences in the culture that it can kind of sometimes create some conflict in how public spaces are taken care of or what infrastructure projects get kind of like greenlit because there's just so many folks that have differing perspectives in New York. But then going to a city like Warsaw, and just seeing the incredible infrastructure that they have there and just the culture of orderliness there. Folks, announce themselves when they enter shops and they say hello and goodbye. And, um, you know, folks are very respectful just out in public on the train or in the park. They're just very respectful to one another. And I think that was really exciting to see because sometimes I want more of that in New York City. And then I think the other piece in Poland that really surprised me was uh, how Western, like the younger population is. I think with social media and the globalization of business and commerce, I feel like Poland has definitely seems like it's had like a rebirth in terms of their connection to their own culture and history, but also like to the West. Like that was really cool to see. Like, I would say walking on the street, like young people in Poland are remind me of young people in New York City, and that was kind of cool to see. Because I think
Small Americans.
there you go. Like in America, I feel like in America, a lot of Americans think like Eastern Europe is this otherworldly place. It's very different. But I actually have the opposite impression. I think, um, you know, my experience in Warsaw recently and then a smaller town, Opole, in Poland, it was really cool to see the mix of culture, the mix of like the Eastern and the Western and the art and the architecture. And then I thought that was really, really neat. And I think different than what I think a lot of Americans think when they think of Eastern Europe.
Okay. So I will have a few more questions related to Polish and Poland later, but and now I wanted to ask you, I remember I think it was on our first lesson you showed me a can or something
Yes,
and you told me
yes,
about your
beautiful.
business. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about your business. I think this is interesting.
yeah, definitely. So my husband started the business about, gosh, 8 years ago, making his own coffee product, and then realized other folks also needed a place to produce their beverage products in New York City. So he founded Brooklyn Canery, which is the name of our business. And I joined him a few years later. And so we get to be on the front lines of making really cool functional beverages. So sodas, coffees, teas, lemonades, you name it. We make it at Brooklyn Cannery. And we've been able to grow over the last few years and have a really great team here in Brooklyn. And we're able to innovate with beverage, so make things that taste great, but that are also good for people and drinks that we would want to drink ourselves. And so it's been really neat to see the reception of not only the clients we work with, their products, but also the reception to our own products. We have a prebiotic soda, and then we have a sparkling lemonade product. And so that's been really, really cool to see that and to be small business owners in New York City. It's challenging, but it's definitely worthwhile. And it's cool to be part of making something that's also consumed locally. So we're really interested in how you kind of create sustainable supply chains and create something that can be on the shelf tomorrow in the community or in the region. So really excited to be a part of that.
And do you like work regionally or what is your like reach?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, our products are mostly in the Northeast region, but some of our clients that we work with sell nationally. So nationally across the US. So they make it with us and then it obviously goes into stores nearby here, but then goes as far as California or Texas. So that's been really cool too to help smaller brands grow through our services. Yeah.
And do you incorporate any Polish like names, maybe or flavors or something related to Poland?
That's definitely on our like dream and vision roadmap for sure. There's a lot, as you know, probably there's a lot of really cool flavor profiles and even like fruit that's used in Poland, from candy to soups to different dishes. And I think down the line we have some ideas. I won't say it here yet, but we do have some ideas of how to incorporate that. But we haven't yet had like a product that has a Polish name or a primary ingredient from Poland. But I think we're excited about exploring that in the future for sure.
Okay. No, you can always try with, let's say, the Janusz soda or something like
There you
maybe.
go. Yeah, perfect. I'll get your we'll put your signature on
Yeah, they're like
it. Yeah.
this. Yeah, just to try
Sure.
if how
Just
the
to try.
market is going to react.
Yeah, 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 yeah. 100%. I think it would work out. I think it would work out. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so I remember on one of our lessons we were like role playing something and I was joking that you're a good actress and then you said you used to be an actress, so
Yeah.
maybe you can also tell me about your
Yeah.
career or experience.
Yeah, I came to New York City originally to pursue acting in the performing arts. I grew up doing a lot of that in the Midwest in the US and then moved to New York to do acting school. So I went to university for acting and dance. And while it was a bunch of fun and I learned a lot, I think my acting training has definitely been helpful in like business settings. And after school, I kind of did a transition from acting to kind of like the business side of entertainment and producing. And so the last decade, that's what I've done a lot of. I've done a lot of producing or working on the business side of the entertainment industry here in the U.S. And it's been a lot of fun. But I am very grateful that I have that foundation of acting training because I think like with any storytelling medium, the ability to kind of like work with other people and be ready for anything has been really helpful in my career and in my personal life, and definitely in our Polish lessons, because I think when I really get into the role playing with you, it helps me understand it and it helps me understand the inflection behind sentences. I think for me, Polish is so different from English, or I grew up studying Spanish, and it's such a different language than those languages that really being able to, like, yeah, do the role playing or like jump into a conversation makes it much easier when I like face that conversation in real life. It can feel very silly sometimes, but I don't really care because I have that acting background. I'm used to feeling silly. I'm used to making fun of myself, basically. Yeah.
So it's helping.
Yes, it's helping. It's helping a lot for sure. And I think something else that I attribute to my acting training is in school, we worked a lot on accents or dialects. So using English, but making, working with different accents. And one of the techniques was kind of taking each word in English phonetically, figuring out how that word shows up like in your mouth or in your body, like really to, become a character, for instance. And I think something that I find myself doing a lot in our lessons, which I know you've seen, is like if I don't understand a sound or how to like make it work for my body, it helps me to kind of like physically like act out that sound. So like in Polish, there's a lot of like ch and sh sounds. And it literally, if I like, I've also worked with children in the performing arts, like teaching acting and things. And like if I physically do things like with my hand or like try to like manifest the sound in some way, it helps me remember it versus trying to read something that just looks completely different. Like the sound of something is completely different than if I read it in English. I think for me, memorizing how like the sound feels in my body is very helpful to remembering it the next time I see it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Um, so what's uh what's been the most difficult part of the language for you so far, like the pronunciation or
Yeah, good question. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of challenging things. I get definitely Polish for an American is not the easiest choice of a language to learn for sure. So I definitely like I know it's going to take me time, but for me, I think it's to be honest, I think it's the recall. Like if I'm in a situation where I want to speak Polish, like when I was in Poland recently, I think sometimes my brain or I just like freeze, like I don't know where to find the words that I want to say. And so I think at some point getting over that will be really helpful. So like when I was at a shop and I wanted to use some Polish and it's just I just reverted to English because I kind of couldn't come up with the words that I needed to use with the woman at the shop. And so instead of just reverting to English, I think forcing myself to use any words I can to kind of describe or say what I want to say. But I think that's going to take some time. So, um, actually, reading has not been as difficult for me as the speaking aspect, like, and the recall aspect.
okay. Um, so when did you start learning? Like when did you make this decision?
Yeah. Um, I, gosh, when was that? So 2 years ago, I tried learning with someone online as well. They were very nice, but it wasn't a fit. I think our schedules were tough to coordinate. Um, but then about a year ago, I was like, this is something that I want to start working on because I know it's going to take me time. And I knew that this year in 2025, we'd be going to Poland at some point. So I think that was the impetus. Like late last year, I was like, I'm going to go to Poland next year. It would be great to kind of dive back into that learning. Um, so I started looking online and somehow found my way to you. So it's good.
And what would be your advice to someone who is thinking of starting learning or has already started like, as a beginner? What would be your advice to them?
Yeah. I need to take my own advice, what I'm about to say, but because I think I need to spend more time on my Polish learning. But I think just spending the time every day, something you told me that has been helpful when I actually hold myself accountable and do it, is just trying to speak with my husband when I can. Like one thing we've done is when we're out on walks in Brooklyn, just like a child would do with a parent, kind of saying like "Soto yes," like what is that? Or trying to kind of repeat as much Polish as I can remember, like in that moment. So that's been really helpful. Just the act of just taking time to speak and use this language that I'm starting to learn. But then I also think the uh, solo learning time is really important. So time outside of lessons, whether that's like working on our worksheets that you've given me, or I have an application that I've used a little bit on my cell phone to kind of practice repeating words and spelling and things like that. So I think just the more you immerse yourself in the language, it helps to kind of keep current. I know on weeks where I've had to skip a lesson because of schedules or things like that, it does take me back a few, like, a few steps forward, a few steps back. So I think for me, it's just taking the time every day and every week to really spend time with Polish. And being in the country in Poland was super helpful as well. I think it reignited my interest in the language and the culture. And so anytime folks can immerse themselves in a community, whether that's like In Brooklyn, there's a big Polish community. So going to that area, Greenpoint in Brooklyn, and really immersing myself, whether it's going out to eat or going to a church or something like that. I think I need to find more chances to immerse myself, even when I'm not in Poland physically. And so any chance you can immerse yourself is helpful too.
Yeah, great, great, great. So you mentioned this app, and I also wanted to ask you a few questions related to AI.
Yeah.
Does this app use any AI? Uh,
Uh, I am not sure. The app is called Babel, and I'm not sure if it uses AI. Um, so that's something I should look into. I'm not sure. Yeah.
okay. And do you use or have you used any AI for learning Polish so far?
I have not used AI yet to learn Polish. I have used Google. So sometimes when we've communicated on WhatsApp, I've definitely looked something up on Google to make sure I'm spelling something
Mm,
correctly.
like
And
Google Translate, you mean
Google,
like?
yes, Google Translate.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But you haven't used AI because you just maybe don't like AI or just you haven't thought
Yeah,
about it.
great question. It's not something that comes to mind when I'm looking for words in Polish. It doesn't come to mind. I have begun to use AI as a resource or a tool in my various work projects, but I've never used AI as like a idea generator. And so I think maybe for a language, it's not top of mind when I'm looking for a word or trying to use language. It's not top of mind as like a tool to use, but I think it could be helpful down the line for sure.
And what kind of AI have you used?
Yeah, primarily I've experimented with ChatGPT and then also AI note taking on calls like this, like a professional call, having something in the background, taking some notes so that I can synthesize the info post call and can be really present with the other human, not in my note taking.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you come across probably you have like any deep fakes, things like this related to
Yeah, yeah. I mean, coming from the entertainment industry, I've also kind of just been following. I'm not in the entertainment industry day to day much anymore, but just following what my network, is sharing on LinkedIn or on social media and the news stories. I think there's extreme power in AI and like the future it can help us create, but I also think there's a lot of potential pitfalls to the way AI is being like leveraged or used in content creation or the creation of like visuals with AI. I think humans will always be the best storytellers and artists. Like we're programmed to be storytellers, to pass on information, to share knowledge. But I think it does worry me, like where the world's going with misinformation by way of AI or folks looking to AI for expert advice and various areas of their lives and AI is not always right or sharing information that might not ultimately help that person. So I think that worries me a little bit. But I think technology is great and it has helped us a lot, and I think there's positives to technology. So I'll be curious to see how countries and governments and leaders of companies kind of use AI, but also the safety measures or the structures or frameworks that are created to ensure that AI, does not become something that we don't want it to become. So I'm curious about it. I'm definitely curious. Yeah.
yeah, me too.
Yeah. Are you using it for your teaching yet? AI or
Yes, I have been using it for more than 2 years now,
nice.
and it definitely helps me create more structured lessons depending on the interests of my students.
Cool.
So when we talk about certain things, and it saves me also time, but
Yeah.
on the other hand, I'm also obviously aware of how, let's say, OpenAI uses all the data I put in. Like, for
Yeah.
example, they can use me and also other teachers just to create some AI teacher in the future, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But because I think it's almost inevitable,
Yeah.
I don't worry from that, they're going to use what they have been written over there. I just want to create something with the help of AI, which can be um, like used by more students. Yeah,
Mm,
let's
interesting.
say,
Yeah.
yeah, let's say it's a little bit like with the app that you have been using. Like this app, there are also other apps which attract more students, but at some point, some students also look for a real teacher.
Yeah.
And I think for some time at least, the same is going to be with AI. Like AI is going to create certain ways to attract more students to learn languages, not only Polish.
Yeah.
So more people are going to learn languages. There are going to be more teachers also in the future, the near
Hmm.
future. But what is going to happen, let's say, like in 5 or 10 years, I think it's too difficult to say.
Yeah.
But still, I've been trying, and not only I've been trying, but I'm optimistic generally for the future. So, as you said, like we humans are, you know, programmed to do certain things better than anyone or anything else. So,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be okay. Um,
I hope
so
so.
another question about Poland. What's your favorite place in Poland and why?
That's so hard. So I have to be transparent. I've only been to a few places in Poland. I've only gone on a trip there twice. So I went 5 years ago. And on that trip, I went to, I visited Warsaw, Opole, Krakow, Wrocław. I struggle to say that one.
Yeah,
Wrocław.
Wrocław. Wrocław.
Wrocław.
Nice.
And then this trip, we didn't have as much time, so we focused our time in Warsaw and Opole. And then we went to a small little area outside of Warsaw as well. So from Warsaw and Opole, there's such different places. Warsaw is, a major city. I believe is it the capital of Poland? I believe it is. So it's a major city, not unlike a New York in the US. But what I really like about Warsaw is their public spaces are incredible. They have so much green space built into the city in terms of parks or botanical gardens. The University of Warsaw has a rooftop botanical garden, which I thought was really, really cool. Um, so I really liked that, but I honestly really enjoyed Apola because it just was it's a smaller city, but you have everything you need there, and you're able to connect to nature much quicker. And then it's obviously closer to some other major cities like a Prague or the mountain region in Poland, Zakopane. So I think if I go back to Poland or when I go back to Poland, I'll be excited to visit more of the nature like the non-city areas like Zakopane or Gdańsk, the sea, the northern like Baltic Sea. So I'm excited to go see those places. I don't know that I've experienced enough of Poland to say like where my favorite place is yet, because I think I've only seen such like small areas of the country so far. So I'm excited to see more nature in Poland next time I go. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Zakopane, that's my favorite place in Poland and
Thanks.
the mountains in general. So
Yeah.
I I'm sure you like it.
Awesome.
And is there anything you don't really like about Poland? Like maybe something that
mean, that's a hard question. I don't think there's anything I don't like, but there's one thing that I learned, pierogies are amazing, but if you eat them every day, you get tired of them. So I think I had maybe I ate too many pierogies. Let's try. Some point I was
okay.
like, let's get Asian food tonight because they had, but they were amazing. I enjoyed every pierogi that I ate, but I next time I go to Poland, I need to branch out because there's so much was surprising to me actually. There's so many cuisine options in Poland. Even in Opole, there's incredible cuisine, not just Polish food. So I think that's something also folks should keep in mind when they go to Poland. I think there's such a amazing food culture there. That was surprising to me as well.
Okay. Okay. This would be a great ending for our conversation. Just eat less pierogi sometimes. Yeah.
Yes. Explore the rest of what Poland has to offer, not just pierogies. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Lauren, for your time. It was really a great pleasure, and see you in the next one.
Thanks so much, Janusz. Looking forward to more of our lessons and thanks for the conversation. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Do
Bye bye.
widzenia. Bye.
Do widzenia. Cześć, cześć, cześć.
Cześć.
Wolność